Hola chicos, hoy I'm going to give you a rundown of the Información del verb gustar, which is important to know when we're talking about opinions about foods and other things. But for this unit, we are simply talking about foods. So there are 6 important things we're going to talk about. What is the verb gustar? What is an INDOP, which is an indirect object pronoun? How do I know which indirect object pronoun to use and where do I put it? How is gustar different or special than other verbs we always use with food, like preparar, beber, and compartir, which are considered regular verbs? What does it mean to be a verb like gustar? And what are some helpful tips? So, what is the verb gustar? Literally, it means to be pleasing to in English. However, we use it as like, even though it really doesn't mean that. Here are some examples. The verb gustar is an AR verb, so it does have all the forms. However, you have to be careful of what or who is being pleasing. So if I'm being pleasing to, let's say, my parents, I am the one doing it, so it would be gusto. If you are doing it, it would be gustas, gustamos if we are, and gustais if you're talking to a group of people who are doing the pleasing. For this unit, we are simply looking at gusta and gustan because the things that are being pleasing are singular foods or plural foods together. So for this unit, we are only focusing on gusta and gustan. Here are some examples. I like the pizza. Literally translated, the pizza is pleasing to me. Me gusta la pizza. The reason why it's gusta is because la pizza is the thing being pleasing and it's singular. So we're using the singular form. I like the pizzas. Literally in Spanish, it translates to the pizzas are pleasing to me. Now there's more than one thing doing the pleasing. There's more than one pizza. So we have to use the plural form of gustar, talking about something, which would be gustan. So that's the reason why it's a little bit different than normal verbs. And I'll go into that again later. What is an indirect object pronoun? An indirect object pronoun is the thing that tells to whom or for whom an action is being done in the sentence. When you're using gustar, you're talking about things being pleasing to someone. So the to someone is actually the indirect object pronoun, and here's a list of them. Me, te, le, nos, os, and les. Notice how these are actually in the first columns where you see the a. Those are simply the indirect objects. The pronouns are what represent those. The indirect object pronouns represent the indirect objects. So you can actually use me and may if you want, but we often just use may. And that's because we already know that me refers to may. So similar to where you can use yo, soy artística, or you can simply say soy artística. It's already understood. However, down here for the ley and the lace, it's similar to ellos and ellas and el and ella, where you might want to be specific the first time you're talking about a person or people and name them that way, using the a, el, and a, ella afterwards. I like the pizzas. The pizza is pleasing to whom? It's pleasing to me because I'm the one who likes it. So that's why we're using the may. On the other hand, the teacher likes us. Literally, it's we are the ones being pleasing to the teacher. So the reason why it's we are pleasing is because it's gustamos, because we are the ones doing the pleasing. Who are we doing it to? We are doing it a la profesora. So therefore, it's ley. It matches the singular talking about someone. One person. How do you know which indirect object to use and where do you put it? To find the indirect object pronoun, you look for the a. Like all of them have a in front of them. For our purposes, we will be using a in front of them so it can give you a little bit of a hint. Notice we have a mi familia le, a mí y a mi hermano no nos, a usted, señora Marquez, le, a ti, Marcela, no te. So all of the things referring to the bolded indirect object pronouns have an a in front of them. If you find the a and then look at what's next to it, it will refer you back to this chart, which then you can decide is it singular or plural, about or to, and who are you really talking about? And then you can choose which one to use. Sorry. Now, nos is important to note. Nos and a nosotros and nosotros are not the same thing. Nos refers to us, and nosotros is just simply we. So be careful about that. They are not the same thing. How is the verb gustar different or special than other verbs we always use with food, like preparar, beber, and compartir? Well, when using gustar, you're actually talking about two different things. You're talking about the indirect object pronoun, and you're also referring to the actual verb. So you're really going to have two different areas of concern. Who is it being pleasing to, and who is doing the pleasing? And once you figure out who it's being pleasing to, you forget about it. That's not going to match anything to do with the verb gustar. So since I realized it's a mi familia and I picked ley, now I can forget about it. Now all I need to do is figure out what's being pleasing. And since it's las frutas y las verduras, that's why it's gustan. A mí y a mi hermano, no nos, because it's being pleasing to us, and gusta because it's la sopa doing the pleasing. We're talking to la señora, so it's ley, and then gustan because it's el pescado y la carne that's being pleasing. A ti, Marcela, no te gusta. Te because you're talking to Marcela, and gusta because she does not like, it's not, the ice cream is what's not pleasing to her, el helado. On the other hand, you're only talking with normal verbs, you're only talking about one thing. Who's doing the action. So it's come because it's mi familia. It's comemos because it's mi hermano y yo. It's come because it's usted. And it's no comes because it's to Marcela. Pause for a minute and take a look at that. If you need any time, don't hesitate to pause. What does it mean to be a verb like gustar? What it means is you're following a similar pattern like gustar, where you have an indirect object pronoun, the verb is being done to someone, and you have what's doing the action. So, encantar, disgustar, faltar, doler, which is a shoe verb. Pay attention to that. It's a shoe verb. Aburrir, and interesar. A mi familia le encantan los libros. A mis hermanos les disgusta el limón. A ti te faltan los papeles. A mí me duelen los pies. A mí y a ella nos aburren las películas románticas. Sorry, that should say las. A vosotros os interesa la clase de español, ¿verdad? So, we have ley because it's a mi familia. We have les because it's a mis hermanos. Te because it's a ti. Me because it's a mi. Nos because it's a mi y a ella. And os because it's a vosotros. We have encantan because it's los libros, doing the pleasing. Disgusta because it's el limón, being disgusting. Faltan because the papeles are what's missing. Duelen because the los pies are what's being painful. Aburren because it's películas, being boring. And interesa because it's la clase, being interesting. No matter how many verbs you use with a verb like gustar afterwards, it will always be singular when you're using infinitives. For example, me gusta bailar y cantar y dibujar. It's gusta because these are all infinitives. No me gusta nada ni escribir, ni leer, ni ver la tele. It's gusta still because these are all infinitives you're talking about. So, some helpful tips for the verb gustar are to remember that you're talking about two different things, the indirect object pronoun and then the separate thing doing the action. Also remember that gustar is singular when using infinitives, and the best way to find the indirect object pronoun is to look for the a in the person or people afterwards. Be careful, there might be more than one a, like in a mi y a ella. I hope this was helpful, and please don't hesitate to pause it or replay it and take your time listening. And we'll be doing some more practice in class when we talk about what foods and what foods we like and what foods we don't like.